Hi guys, and welcome back to Escape with Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the new CIGA design Series Y Eastern Jade. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. No matter how I get a watch for a review, I'm always going to give my honest opinion on this channel. And if by the end of this review you want to pick one of these up, I will be leaving a link down in the video description. That is a link to the CIGA design website directly to this watch here for purchase. The retail price for this watch is $600 US. I'm not really sure if they participate in sales or anything like that. I think their production numbers are low enough and the demand is high enough that they don't really have to worry about cutting prices too much. So if you want this one, I think you should act now and get it while you can. At the time of this review, the watch is only available in this black colorway that you can see here. However, in the packaging, which you'll see here next, they do show quite a few different other colors that might be coming soon, I guess. The watch case is made of ceramic jade. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It has a sapphire crystal with AR coating, a push-pull crown, a screwed-in case back, 30 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by a in-house caliber CD02 automatic movement. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So obviously, CIGA design has some very unique designs that aren't for everyone, but they are for someone. And there's no doubt that they put out a nice and unique product every single time. And this is no different. So I say we get into the full review, but before we do a quick wrist check watch that's coming to the channel very soon. This is the Spinnaker Fluce 40. Really digging this one. All right, so you guys know I don't usually put any emphasis on packaging usually, unless it's something special. In CIGA design, they always do something special with their packaging. So I figured I'd show you guys. Let me know if you like this format. I'm just kind of figuring out how to do this best, but I think an over-the-shoulder shot is probably the best for something so big. But yeah, I'll only do packaging for something special and unique, and CIGA is always going to be on that list. So yeah, let's get started. So the watch came in this cardboard packaging here. You just kind of rip it open down here, and then you open it up. It's got a whole bunch of words here. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's kind of embossed. It looks pretty good. You open it up. It's got all of their designs. So they got the GPHG for some of their watches. I'm not really sure what other options they have here. They have a WeChat group there. I don't know if that's for service or whatnot, but yeah, they got a whole bunch of stuff on here, which is pretty cool. But that's just the outer box, and then you open it up to the inner box, which is really cool looking. It's kind of this, I want to say like almost like a burlap material. It's really interesting, very textured. You got your CIGA design down here. This is a nice green squircle. It looks pretty cool. There is, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's a little bit of Chinese engraved lettering there. I'm not really sure what any of the Chinese is in here. I didn't translate it, and there's a lot of it. You just pull out this here, and you get access to the inner box. So this is nice and solid and hard. But then you got this here, and it opens different from a English book, I guess. Again, same kind of material. It's all stitched here. It looks really cool, very interesting. It's a CIGA Design Mechanical C Series. I'm not sure why they say C Series. According to the website, it's a Y Series. And then Oriental Jade. So really pretty cool. But you open it up here. It's got some pages here of Chinese lettering. Not really sure what any of this means, but I'm sure it has something to do with the jade material and the jade process, and you know what jade means to their culture. But really quite interesting. You work your way through it. It has this double fold out here. This is the other colors that they have. They've got green, red, white, blue. It looks like a darker blue, maybe an aventurine case, and then a silver case or a black case there. So yeah, really interesting colors that they have coming out, it looks like. But we got the black one here. So you flip over that, and this is where the watch is protected. So this here is glued down. You kind of open that up to the watch inside. So the bracelet came like this. It was obviously wrapped up very nicely. And then you just have a little pull tab for the watch itself. So yeah, really quite interesting packaging as always from CIGA Design. This whole section here is nice and thick and hard. And then they have instructions and stuff like that. So pretty standard packaging outside of that. They just kind of all wrap it into one nice big book. But it looks, I mean, I gotta say, their packaging has always been stellar, and this is no exception. It looks really, really nicely done. Very happy with the packaging on it. Again, as always, they do a great job with the packaging. All right, let's get into dimensions. We've got a diameter of 43 millimeters, case thickness of 13.1, got 22 millimeter lug width, and an effective lug to lug of 47.9 millimeters. And on the supplied bracelet with all links, it weighs 113 grams. So the watch is 43 by 43. It does have slightly protruding first links of the bracelet there, so it brings it out just a little bit, but really it wears pretty compact. It wears kind of like you would expect it to wear. It's square, so it's going to wear bigger than a 43, but it is pretty short and squat, so I really don't think it wears bad at all. It is super duper comfortable as well, so I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, it fits me just fine. It wears kind of like a big Apple Watch. The bracelet, I removed no links. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The bracelet is actually a little tight for me, so if you got bigger wrists, it's going to be a tight fit for you, especially because getting a strap on this thing was impossible. So yeah, another big drawback to this one. But yeah, you can see here, it does wear pretty nice. It is very comfortable. That ceramic material is super, super smooth and super reflective. You can see here it's not a very legible watch to begin with, but underneath this tree it's actually doing okay. The crystal picks up a lot of reflections, but that's just kind of what you're going to have to live with on this watch. Legibility is not a concern with this watch. Here we are, just a little bit different of a lighting. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to throw this on any straps for you guys just because the clearances are not great for straps. So this is kind of what you have to live with. Thankfully, it does look really good. That bracelet looks pretty cool. I do like it a lot, but yeah, I wish it was a little bit longer, and I wish they would give us a little more space for straps on this thing, because I think a black rubber would actually look pretty good. All right, let's go back inside. Let's get back to this review. So let's talk about the case. So the case is made of ceramic jade, I guess is what it's called. I think it's a blend of ceramic and jade maybe, or it's just ceramic. Either way, it's 1800 degrees Celsius fired ceramic. It is super, super smooth, super shiny. I mean, it looks fantastic. It feels excellent on wrist, like I mentioned earlier. There's not a sharp edge on this thing in sight. It's one of those watches that it just kind of sits on your wrist and you just forget about it. I mean, it's not a super heavy watch either, but yeah, it's just ultra smooth. That's all I can think of when I'm holding this thing. It's just super duper smooth, super comfortable. You can see the crown there. The crown has a little bit of decoration on it. There's no signage or anything, but nice size crown too. It doesn't dig into the wrist or anything like that. It is just done really nicely. You can see the exhibition case back here showing off that movement. It is supposedly an in-house movement. That's a mineral crystal covering the back there, and it is just screwed in with 4 different screws there, aiding in the 30 meters of claimed water resistance. So in general, I feel like the watch case is done really nice. Like I mentioned, it's just smooth. That's all I can say. It's just smooth, but really a nicely done case. Yeah, let's talk about the crystal on this thing. It is positive for sapphire. So it is a sapphire crystal, and it's really nicely done. You can see here, I don't know if you can see here, but it is ever so slightly domed. It follows the case curvature just perfectly there. It looks really cool. Kind of gives a like a bubble effect to the movement itself. It is all squeezed in there pretty nicely, I think, pretty tight. So yeah, really a cool effect. The chamfer on the glass here, you can see pretty tight in the corners, and then it kind of loosens up a little bit on the sides, the flat edges of it. But it's a really nice sapphire crystal. Very interesting. I can't imagine how much it cost to make that. Probably not cheap. There is some blue and a reflective coating, which you can see. It does look pretty good. It does a pretty good job of keeping the dial as clean and legible as this dial can be. So yeah, I'm really happy with the crystal on this thing. Even the crystal in back looks pretty nicely done. I mean, it is also rounded off, as you can see there. So it just, like I said, it's just super smooth, really smooth, really comfortable, really a nicely done setup for front and back. All right, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial is really, really cool on this thing. You can kind of see it where the outer ring there, that outer gear there, is held in place by a plastic or glass, I guess, dial. So it almost looks like it's just floating in there. The only thing attaching the actual dial of this thing to the outside is the crown stem. So yeah, it just has a really cool look to it. You can see through it really nice, really easily. The movement is an in-house movement, so to allow that to happen, it looks really good. The handset on it, pretty cool. You can see them right here. Again, these watches, they are not meant to be super legible. That's always they're always more of a wow factor than a useful factor. But here's the hands right here. That's the minute hand. It kind of reaches right out to that outer gear. And then there's the hour hand there. It's kind of this open pill shape. Those are loomed. The seconds hand is this middle gear here. You can see it sweeping along. 8 ticks per second, so it's a nice smooth sweep. That is also loomed. I'll pop up a Lume Shot here in just a little bit. Unfortunately, there's no other loomed part of it, so the loom is actually pretty decent. It's just not very useful. You can see the outer ring here has these little silver marks on it there. That's how you tell where you are in the clock. You have your CIGA design branding right there. Hopefully you guys can see that right there, CIGA design. It has some words here. I can't. CIGA design something movement. CIGA design something movement. So right there you can see your power reserve spring, and you can tell how much power is in it by how tightly it's wound. It's kind of cool to see. Obviously you have the inner workings of the watch ticking along there. It all looks really cool, very nicely done. If you like skeleton watches, I think you're going to like this one. It does have some extra light play. You can see this cross pattern here. It kind of comes right over here and back up this way. And those have a little metallic sheen to them. So that can get a little confusing with the hour and minute hands and stuff like that. So yeah, again, legibility is not really the concern with this watch. But everything else is done very nicely, and I do like it a lot. For what it is, they did a good job, and that's kind of how I feel about all of CIGA design skeleton watches. I'm not a skeleton watch fan. I prefer legibility over this style, but I know some people will think that this is really cool. It's just not for me personally, but yeah, so I will pop up a Lume Shot here. So I'm not going to compare it against anything else. It is actually pretty decent lume on this thing, but it's just not very functional. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. So the movement inside is the in-house caliber CD02. To me, it looks like a skeletonized ETA 2824 clone, which it probably is. 28,800 beats per hour, 40 hours of power reserve, and hacks, hand winds. It's got a bidirectional winding rotor. So yeah, and everything that I can see of this movement kind of reminds me of an ETA style movement. So yeah, I'm guessing it's just some sort of an ETA movement that's just been transferred or modified into something that you can use in a watch like this. So that's not a bad thing at all. The movements are pretty accurate. Here's how this one has been running. I wish it was a little bit more accurate for the price you're paying, but again, you're not too concerned with actual time with this watch, so I think that's acceptable. But again, it is 28,800 beats per hour. It does everything you need it to do, 40 hours of power reserve. So yeah, it should be nice and accurate and reliable. The movement is operated by this crown here. It does have a ghost date position, which is obviously they stripped all the functionality out of that, so there's nothing there. Pull it out to the third position, and you can see there it hacks the movement. This is where you set your time. Everything is nice and smooth, functions as you would expect. Hands don't jump or anything like that. You push it in, starts right back up. That's pretty much it. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So the bracelet, really interesting. Again, it is a ceramic bracelet, super smooth. It's 22 millimeters and it tapers down to 20 millimeters at the clasp. You can see here it does have quick release spring bars. So this first link that's not moving, it does move. It's not part of the case. You can see there, but it only tapers down just a little bit there. So yeah, not anything to really worry about. Just thought I would let you guys know. But yeah, really just nice and smooth. I'm sorry about the fingerprints. I'm doing all that I can to keep the fingerprints off this thing, but it's just not happening today. It's a very sticky and sweaty day, but there you go. You can see just how nice and smooth the finishing is on this. It's just buttery smooth. Articulation is excellent. The tolerances are excellent. They're just one solid link, as you can see there. They're held in by pin and collar, so you're gonna have to struggle with pin and collar there. But besides that, Really nicely done. The only thing that I have really to complain about, a butterfly clasp is one of the things that I can complain about. There's no micro adjust or anything like that. It's just your standard butterfly clasp. Everything functions as it should. I don't have any issues with that. But, you know, it's a butterfly clasp without micro adjust, without half links. Fitment is going to be hit or miss for some people. I do think the links are pretty short, so you're probably going to be able to get a nice fit on this thing. And it's not too heavy either, so I'm not too concerned with fitment. But yeah, one big thing to note is I have a 7.5-inch wrist. I removed 0 links. So if you have a larger wrist than mine, it's going to be a tough fit for you guys. And sadly, they don't supply a rubber strap in the box like they do on some other watches. And I could not fit any of my 22mm straps in here. That's not to say no straps will fit, but that opening is pretty tight. I'll show it to you guys here. Yeah, the opening here is pretty tight. So you're going to have to find a strap that fits this thing if you want something that's going to fit your larger wrist. So yeah, just something to know. I do wish they would have supplied a rubber strap in the box. They do show a rubber strap on the website, so yeah, I'm not really sure why they didn't supply one in the box. The rubber straps are always very nice, so I'm a little disappointed that they didn't include one, but otherwise the bracelet is just, again, super smooth, super comfortable, and I think it does look pretty darn cool. So there you go, guys. That is the CIGA Design Series Y. It's one of these watches that is not for me, but I know some people out there love these things. It's a really cool watch if you are into skeleton watches. You get a nice movement, great crystal, really awesome case and bracelet as well. There's not a whole lot to complain about. Legibility is obviously the big complaint, but that's with any skeleton watch. And then the bracelet not being long enough. That's probably my biggest complaint on this thing. I wish the bracelet was a little bit longer. You know, it needs to fit up to like an 8-inch wrist, and then I think it's going to cover most of the customer base for them. Right now, if you have a larger wrist than 7.5 inches, you're going to have to budget for another strap and hope that it fits in here. So, yeah, I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.